All the lies all this day.
I think you guys are the ones who are being
Tommy
dishonest.
Robinson supporter.
I think you're
by the way,
pies.
for everyone to know, this guy is a Tommy Robinson supporter. So
No,
whatever in the future, whatever thing, even though you claim the people, even though it doesn't matter, you still have this stigma.
Okay, so I want people to ask themselves, kind of, if Tommy Robinson said, kind of, Muslims should have a different death penalty to non-Muslims, where a non-Muslim should be able to kill a Muslim and not face a death penalty, but in vice versa they would, then that would be hate speech. Why don't you condemn hate speech when Muhammad says
now.
it?
Okay. Now here, look at this. This person, to show everyone here that he is a liar. I didn't see a liar in a day that he lies constantly all the time. Now here he's bringing quotes. Here, this person is saying, oh, you could kill a non-Muslim. Oh, you could do that.
Are you timing him?
He did not quote one hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was saying this hadith. Man adha dhimmiyan faqad adhani. Whoever harmed a dhimmi, non-Muslim, who lives in a Muslim land, whoever harms him, he is harming me, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he didn't quote that. He didn't quote that the proof that there is something called ta'zir in Islam. That the leader of the Muslims, if he sees someone being unjustly killed, that even the Muslim leader, he is as well entitled to even to do the capital punishment for the Muslim, or he's causing, disharmony in the society. So that's why it is up to the leader. That's why this guy, he doesn't even represent Islam. And what he is doing now, he is trying to manipulate the non-Muslims against Muslims. That's what he's trying. He's trying to manipulate another killing in somewhere else. So those people who are killing Muslims, what they do, they will civil hate. They are twisting the text. He never quote the verses of mercy in the Quran. He never quote the verses about to treat the people in a nice way. He never quote this. He never quote the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that whoever harmed a dhimmi, whoever harmed non-Muslim, that he is harming me. Did you quote that? Why you didn't say it? To see the hypocrisy of this guy and to see the hate preacher of this guy. So if Tommy Robinson is something, this guy is far further than Tommy Robinson. I have 3 minutes, not 2 minutes.
Okay.
So this guy, he is like Tommy Robinson. He is like him. He is exactly like him, and he's supporting. He support as well platform with hate preachers like Steve, who goes against Muslims. So if there is a non-Muslim who is nowadays, if there is people, the far right people, the Muslim haters, if they have a gun and listen to this guy, he will go to another mosque and kill another people. Because of hate preachers like him, like these filthy people in the park. Like those people, those are the ones who misrepresent Islam. If you want to ask, simple, any non-Muslim, our mosques are open. You could come at any mosque and ask the imams, firstly. Secondly, when did the Coptic Christian, when did they have churches in Egypt before Muslims? They were not allowed in the time of Romans, the Byzantine time, until the Muslim came, and then they allowed them to build their own churches, the church of their national. Why you didn't quote that?
Okay.
Because
no, very good. Do you mind
so ready for 3 minutes?
I'll come back.
Well, it's my go next. But yeah. So sorry, I can't remember his name. I think it was Sheikh Mohammed. Is that right? So the man in the white hood has quoted this hadith that Muhammad did. There is this hadith that says that whoever harms a dhimmi, it is as though he is harming me. That's true. This does not change the fact that there is also a hadith saying that the punishment for murder, the death penalty, should be different for Muslims and non-Muslims. Okay. No. So I am not saying that Muslims do not have any punishment for killing a dhimmi. I am saying that it is less, according to this hadith, and according to the interpretation of 3 out of the 4 traditional schools of Sunni Islamic jurisprudence, Hanbali, Shafi and Maliki agree on this point, that the death penalty is different between Muslims and non-Muslims. Hanafis say otherwise. They're the most benign, the least malignant. Okay, so the fact that Muhammad does indeed condemn killing dhimmis does not change the fact that there is evidence showing that Muhammad wants for there to be a different death penalty for Muslims and non-Muslims, which means lower legal protections based on religion, which means religious apartheid. So Muslims need to ask themselves, if I am living in the British country and then tomorrow, okay, let's get to this. Am I condemning all Muslims when I say this? No, specifically, I'm condemning these Salafis who won't kind of denounce these kinds of statements. If I ask someone like Shabir Ali or Sufis, many people won't find it hard to say, no, this is a disgusting forgery, this was made up. Many Muslims will denounce this and try and like ignore it. Whereas these people, they look very awkward, like, I don't want, I'm in a tough position, I don't want to denounce this. And so, no, and so I want to highlight, actually I've got another minute. So I want to highlight the double standards here. You should denounce hateful, divisive sentiment across the board. You shouldn't defend, you shouldn't obfuscate, you shouldn't dance around and dive and dodge. Like, you should say clearly, this report that non-Muslims should have a different death penalty to Muslims, that is a hateful, divisive report that encourages religious apartheid. And furthermore, this is not a quirk. This is something that was practiced by the Islamic jurists, and you can see that by reading medieval jurist books. And yeah, like I can quote some for you now. Fatwa well, not the Hanafi schools, the three other schools. Okay, just medieval books from the three other schools.
Okay, I'll speak now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have come back having prayed, and we will respond to all the points made by James. There's no doubt that James is part of that machine which peddles poison against Muslims and causes other people to commit murder against Muslims. He is part of that machine, albeit in a minor way, but he is part of that machine. That machine that peddles hate against Muslims. Why do I say that? He completely ignores everything we bring to counter his understanding of Islam. I brought that verse from the Quran, chapter 60, verse 8, where Allah, God, tells us God does not forbid you from being kind to those non-Muslims who do not fight you for your religion and do not drive you out. God is telling us to be kind to non-Muslims. He goes, that's a nice verse, that's a good verse, but, however, okay, then he brought this hadith, and I gave an example that your understanding is very, very crude and false, because our civilization, the history of over 1,000 years, what do we see? We see a good treatment of Jews, a good treatment of Christians, to an extent that where they themselves are praising the Muslim government that protects them. A Jewish rabbi called Bahya bin Pakuda, writing in 1085 in Cordoba, writes, and I'm giving references, he can go and check, he writes that our living condition is better than Muslims. We are living better lives than the Muslims themselves. How can he be writing this when they are being pushed around to the corner? So this liar, please do forgive me for being harsh to him. I'm usually not that harsh. The reason why I'm so harsh with this particular individual is, for one reason, he is a known Islamophobe online. He attends platforms where all the Islamophobes get together to peddle the hate against Muslims. And out of context, if it was legitimate criticism of Islam, academic criticism, which is objective, which takes into consideration all the sources, then we have no problem with that, no problem. At least have a discussion on our sources and say, this report, the Shaikh just brought the hadith where the Prophet said, you attack a dhimmi, you attack me. Attacking the Prophet of Islam, you know what the penalty for that is? Attacking the Prophet of Islam, the penalty in Islam for that is death penalty. It's capital punishment. You attack the Prophet of Islam, whether he's living or not living. In Islamic law, that's the penalty. Throughout the Islamic civilization, this penalty was applied. The Prophet is saying, you attack a dhimmi, a non-Muslim living in Muslim lands, you attack me. So what do we do with this hadith now? Where he's claiming that the non-Muslims, okay, have very little rights. The hadith is about war, non-Muslim people who are at war with you. For example, the Indian pilot that landed in Pakistan just over 4 weeks ago, I'm finishing right now, my finishing point. If he was caught by the people, which he did, and if he was killed by the people, none of those people could be put on trial because they killed a harbi kafir, a disbeliever who landed in the Muslim lands to kill Muslims. If he was killed in action, no trial against those who kill him. This is the understanding of this hadith, which this gentleman doesn't want to fathom or understand. Now, respond to the points I made.
Yeah, sure.
Respond to the points I made.
Okay.
Don't just say it's a nice report and move on.
I already did respond. I already did respond to the report that Muhammad said that you're not allowed to attack a dhimmi. Another report that he said was whoever kills a dhimmi won't smell the fragrance of paradise. That's another report.
There you go.
Okay.
So why did you mention this?
Shut up. I let you speak.
Okay, shut up. No problem.
Yes, good.
But why did you mention this before? Why didn't you mention this before?
No. Okay.
Why didn't you mention James? This is yeah, of course. But I want to understand the psychology. Why did you not mention these things before?
Okay.
And how do you contextualize it?
Okay. The reason why is because I am talking about the legal system that dhimmis were subject to. Because Adnan cannot jump forwards and backwards. Either he has to try and defend what he considers to be the true Islam, or he has to try and defend historical Islam. He has tried to defend historical Islam. He said he has attempted to do this. Okay, and the fact is that books of medieval Islamic jurisprudence prove him clearly wrong. And you don't need to trust me, you don't need to trust Adnan. You can just go to books like the Reliance of the Traveller by the Reliance of the Traveller, which is and then go to chapter O. Excuse me, can you tell him not to interrupt me?
But read from them.
Go to chapter O, section 9.
Read Harry Potter. Read Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice.
Shows the opinion of Shafi scholars.
Read it.
Okay, and then you can also go to, for example, the Distinguished Jurist Primer, who was written by Ibn Rushd, who is one of the most renowned scholar jurists of the 11th century.
We can expose you.
And he showed the Maliki fiqh, and you can read in that also the dhimmi regulations. And you'll see what you will do if you see this, if you read these medieval texts of Islamic jurisprudence, is that there is no reference to only under kind of conditions of war do you treat dhimmis like that. That is actually totally false. It's like anyone who knows Islamic jurisprudence knows how wrong Adnan is, because a dhimmi, by definition, is not someone in a state of war. A dhimmi is a citizen of the Islamic state, so it can't apply to people of war. He can't even using Islamic reasoning, he is refuted by his own legacy. Okay, and and we want to repeat the question that was asked, which was, why is he not condemning these hateful statements? And I do get a little bit more time because they were interrupting, and he got to finish his point. So I showed him the example of Muhammad being reported to say, do not greet the non-Muslims, the Christians and the Jews, before they greet you, and force them to the narrowest part of the road. Imagine if Tommy Robinson or a British politician said that about Muslims. That would be hate speech, and it is still hate speech, even if Muhammad is reported to have done it. So if they are being consistent and not trying to defend hateful ideology, they would denounce this and saying, no, we don't believe that, that's rubbish, we cast us out.
Time up, thank you. You see, what we do not find with Western leaders to this day, as civilized as they may pretend to be, Western leaders of Western countries, the most powerful countries on the planet, what we do not find with them is a statement that anyone who attacks a Muslim attacks me. Bush never said it, Trump never said it, Blair never said it, James would never say it, of course. Okay. What we do find with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is a true leader. This is a true loving man who cares about his people, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. Why would he make a statement saying anyone who attacks a non-Muslim living under our dominance, our control in our cities attacks me? Anyone outside of that domain is not his responsibility. They are not under his protection. Anyone living within the house of Islam, anyone who attacks a non-Muslim dhimmi attacks me. Okay, what he does is he just completely brushes it aside and moves on. Doesn't really have much to say on that. Okay, this is a very powerful statement. You cannot simply ignore it and keep beating the drums of this hadith, which I have responded to already. And he mentioned many flashy names of books, like read that book, read this book, read that book. He mentioned many names, right? Where are the quotes? Read those quotes, and then what we will do is we will put it out in Arabic, which we always do with these Islamophobes, and we read the paragraph before, the paragraph after, and then they start to look like idiots. Because what they do is they go to Islam-hating websites, Islamophobic websites. They have selected quotes there, and they get very happy. They start giggling. They start, they get excited. They print these papers. They come to the park and they start experimenting with people like us, right? We don't have a problem with having an intelligent discussion, which we love to do. By Allah, the reason why I'm in the park is to have those very discussions, right? But when people like him come here, not with an intention to learn, rather to attack Muslims and to peddle more hate that more Muslims can be killed, we're not going to allow that, right? I made it very clear. The Prophet clearly stated, anyone who attacks a non-Muslim living in the Muslim domain attacks me. What more do you want? Show me one statement like that. Even this New Zealand Prime Minister, she went and hugged Muslims and she cried with them. She didn't make a statement like that. She said, yeah, we are together. She said, we are together. She said, we are together. Did she say that anyone who attacks Muslims attacks me? Not a non-Muslim leader you can bring from the entire history of humanity who made a statement like that about Muslims. We have our Prophet as our model, who said, you attack non-Muslims, dhimmis, you attack me. Allahu Akbar. This is the ultimate protection. He never said that about Muslims. Anyone who attacks a Muslim attacks me. He didn't say that. He said that about non-Muslims living under Islamic domain. So this is the normative practice of Islam. This is what we believe in. I think we will end now. I am finished with this gentleman. He has wasted plenty of our time today. About 3 precious hours of our time today were wasted by this person. I am not going to indulge him again because I don't find him very, objective. Very academic as well. What he does, he cuts and pastes. He finds information online from haters, and he comes and experiments. We are not open for experiments. You see, how do you know an honest person? I'm finishing and I'm walking away. It's up to them. I will summarize, okay? I'm summarizing right now, okay? You summarize and I'll summarize after you. Go on.
No, I still have 3 minutes.
1 minute each.
No, I still have 3 minutes.
You want 3 minutes?
Yeah, because you just had 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and I'll summarize for 1 minute, and you summarize for 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
Happy?
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead.
Okay. So
More hate.
I forgot to adequately deal with the fact that first of all, so the comparison was made between the New Zealand Prime Minister and Mohammed. Like, which one is more benevolent and fair towards kind of people of other faiths under their regime, under their land?
Bush, Blair,
Theresa
May.
Come on, what are you doing, man?
I mentioned them as well.
He's getting scared because he doesn't want the truth to come out. Anyway.
What truth?
So the fact is, it is true that the New Zealand Prime Minister didn't say, if you kill a Muslim, it's like you're killing me, or words to that effect. But neither did she also say, don't greet Muslims before they greet you in the street, and force them to the narrowest part of the road. Neither did she say, a non-Muslim is not to be killed for a Muslim in Qisas. She didn't say that the death penalty would be different for Muslims and non-Muslims. Okay, so the question you need to ask yourself is, if Muhammad wanted the death penalty for Muslims, for if a non-Muslim killed a Muslim, then why did this hadith where he said no Muslim is to be killed in Qisas for a kafir? Why did he say that? No dhimmi is to be killed in Qisas for a kafir. Because Qisas does not apply to times of war.
Hadith doesn't say
Qisas
that.
does not apply to times of war.
Hadith doesn't say that. He just misquoted that. Read the Arabic.
It does say that.
Where does it say dhimmi for Qisas? Go on. Read the Arabic.
Yeah. The legal regulations of Diya and ransom for releasing of captives, and the judgment that no Muslim should be killed in qisas for killing a kafir. Now the question.
You just said dhimmi.
Look here.
You just said dhimmi.
Okay, fair enough.
You used the word dhimmi.
Okay, fine. He did not say dhimmi. He did not say dhimmi. However, Qisas,
so there's a difference between dhimmi and kafir, right?
Qisas does not apply to times of war either. So you're still not saved.
It is.
It doesn't.
It is.
It isn't.
I'll show you how.
No, it doesn't. Because if you look at and secondly, you try to defend Islamic history, you need to acknowledge that in the medieval books of fiqh of the Maliki, Shafi and Hanbali school, these scholars interpreted this hadith the way that I'm saying. So you should at the very least denounce them. You should denounce them, because I am not misquoting the Hanbali, Shafi and Maliki scholars, okay? And so you need to ask yourself that there is a disconnect. There is a mutual contradiction between saying anyone who kills a non-Muslim or anyone who kills a dhimmi, it's like they kill me, and saying that a Muslim is not to be killed for a Muslim for a kafir. And also you need to connect that disconnect with Muhammad saying that when you see a non-Muslim, do not greet them until they greet you, and push them to the side of the road, because these are clearly hateful statements, and anyone would denounce them if a politician says them. Why are we? No, but he got to do his finishing thing. I'm finishing my point.
Summary for 1 minute, and I'll do my summary.
Is that okay?
Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm finished. I'm summarizing this thing.
No, one more minute.
No. I'm continuing. I'm finishing my point. Finishing my point. Yeah. So. Yeah. What we need to ask ourselves is why is Adnan not denouncing hateful messages spread by Muhammad when he would not give the same benefit of the doubt to Tommy Robinson? Because it's clearly saying treat non-Muslims, be unfriendly towards them, don't greet them until they greet you, force them to the side of the road. And so,
my turn. Are you summarizing now? Go ahead, summarize and I'll summarize.
You can summarize first.
No, you can summarize first. No.
Isn't it your go? I've just spoken.
No problem. That's not a problem. You can summarize first.
It's not a problem for me either.
Okay, no problem. I'll summarize. Okay. So now you've heard clearly that this gentleman, he fails to acknowledge all the reports I put forward, where the Prophet said that anyone who attacks a you see, when he said the dhimmi, when he imposed the word dhimmi on the report, if I didn't challenge him on that, he would have got away with it. Like many Islam haters, Islamophobes get away with it, that there is no qisas. The word says, the hadith says kafir. Kafir and dhimmi, there is a distinction. Kafir is a general term, dhimmi is a specific term. Dhimmi are non-Muslims who are living with Muslims. Yes, kafir can be anyone. In this hadith, for that reason, I insist that this hadith is talking about people who are fighting Muslims, right? They are fighting Muslims, and if they are caught within the domain of Islam, those who are fighting you, and if they are killed by the Muslims in retaliation, then there is no qisas for them. Like I gave you the example of the Indian pilot who recently landed in Pakistan. He ejected from his plane. The plane was shot down. If he was killed by the people on the ground, by the mob, there would be no retribution against those people, because they killed a harbi kafir, a person who attacked the Muslims, who came to kill the Muslims. So there's a reason why people like him would never acknowledge the beautiful teachings of the Prophet of Islam. Now he keeps going back on the don't greet them first. You know why? There's another report which he doesn't know, is not aware of. The Prophet ﷺ used to greet the Jews when they used to say Assalamu alaikum, but then he heard carefully they were saying to him Assalamu alaikum, death be upon you. Having heard that, the Prophet forbade his companions from saying the salam to them first. Let them greet you. If they say Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, then respond by saying Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, wa alaikum assalam. But if you let them if you greet them first, you might be saying Assalamu alaikum. They might say Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. It burns it.
Yeah, I thought we were going to he said a minute to summarize it.
You know, have you watched those
can you start a minute
I'm finished. Okay, I'm finished. Have you watched those vampire movies?
We are summarizing.
Have you watched those vampire movies when you take the garlic out? Yeah, garlic burns the vampire. So this is garlic. I'm finishing right now. I'm finishing right. Last point. So ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that James has been exposed thoroughly as an Islam hater, Islamophobe. It's all about defending Tommy Robinson. His last statement, if you remember, he said, then why shall we not accept these things from Tommy Robinson if they're true? But they're not true. But they're not true. You can of course I'm cheeky. I'm a cheeky guy. Okay, you can come back. So all of these statements he brought out, he keeps peddling them. What is his reason? The reason is to peddle more hate against Muslims and Islam, to paint Islam in a bad light. He doesn't care about Islamic civilization, our philosophers, our poets, our libraries, our universities, our scholars, our thinkers, our intellectuals, all the history of Islamic civilization. He doesn't care about it. He doesn't care about how the Jews and the Christians are treated under Islam. He just wants to peddle hate. He wants to selectively choose things without substance and paint them as he feels is the right way to do so. So that's it. I'm not going to be engaging with him again. He has wasted a lot of our time today, and now it's time for him to summarize. Go ahead.
Okay, so
you wasted time. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the first thing is we need to ask ourselves: is
Think hard, quickly. Think very quickly. There's nothing left.
Yeah. So I'm not here to demonize Muslims. I brought these up to show him that he as a Salafi is seeking to defend and whitewash this, as he has been whitewashing the treatment of non-Muslims within Muslim lands for centuries. He has said that they are treated so well, so benevolently. He is whitewashing the history of that is recorded within fiqh and also within Jewish sources about how non-Muslims are treated in Muslim lands. Okay, so I did not, and the biggest lie he told just now was that he claimed that I said that why should we not allow Tommy Robinson to say these things? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a hateful, divisive statement should be condemned. This would be condemned if Tommy Robinson said the equivalent thing about Muslims, and yet they are seeking to defend and whitewash it when Muhammad is reported to have said it about non-Muslims. Okay, so this is what is exposing him. This is what is exposing him. Secondly, this is not applying. This is not necessarily applying to all Muslims, because there are many Muslims who say that they cast out these hadiths. They say, no, these must be falsely reported by unreliable, untrustworthy people because we believe in true justice. Whereas he is dodging and trying to whitewash things and refusing to say that someone who says, push non-Muslims to the side of the road is being unjust. The claim is that these things are happening in a context of war, like during the battlefield, don't greet them. That's clearly nonsense. Secondly, he also gave the explanation for why Muhammad said don't greet the Jews until they greet you first. And his explanation was that he heard some Jews saying death be upon you, and then decided to tell his supporters to be untrusting of all Jews. So that is like if an extremist said, oh, I had a bad experience with Muslims, and so do not greet Muslims because I had a bad experience with some Muslims, and so we should always force Muslims to the side of the road. That is a hateful, divisive statement, and he is still tap dancing. He is still trying to whitewash it, and yet if a politician made any of these statements, there would be clear examples of hate speech, and yet he is not holding Muhammad to the same standards that we are holding politicians today to. He is holding Muhammad to a lower standard, even though he is meant to be the ideal example. How does that make sense? Holding someone who is meant to be the ideal moral example to a lower standard than anyone living in polite society today. We are living, the Muslims living in Pakistan who did not slay that prisoner of war, they are acting in a better way than Muhammad's companions might have done, because under Muhammad's companions, they might well have
beat the pilot up.
Okay, and
they were going to kill him.
Yeah, and many times people who surrendered were killed.
The companions of Muhammad didn't do that.
I will find you examples of surrendered people.
We don't want to hear your examples anymore. It's clear now. Ladies and gentlemen,
so I'm showing that he is not condemning hateful sentiments. That is why he is a Salafi. That is why he is a hypocrite. That is why if he was like a just Muslim with a sense of justice, he would not try and whitewash and smother and hide kind of hateful statements.
Thank you. You had plenty of time to peddle your hate, and it's been shown that you are just a hater who doesn't want to acknowledge anything good in Islam and the Muslims and the Prophet of Islam. Because if you did acknowledge something good, you would be.
The difference between me and you is I'll condemn bad things. You will not condemn bad things.
You would be coming because those bad things are not actually bad. They are in context. There is a context.
No,
the context is war. What you're doing, is you're using statements made in war as the normative statements.
It's not true. Qisas does not apply in war.
It's like me using.
Qisas does not apply in war. This hadith is not about war.
It's like me using George Bush's statement that we will go after terrorists, we will smoke them out. It's as if I would be saying George Bush actually said we will go after Muslims and we will smoke them out from everywhere they are. This is how it is. Thank you very much.
Historical revisionism, denying